Today, we are going to talk about how to handle disappointment from an integrated emotional and spiritual perspective. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a pathway to remembering your spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Thank you for joining me today as we are talking about disappointment. Because let's face it, we all go through times where we're going to experience disappointment. And I know from my own experience, as well as working with others, that if we try to handle things in a non-integrated way, where we're not integrating the emotional, which is, you're going to find how important that emotional piece is, along with the spiritual, where the spiritual can both soothe us and strengthen us. This is our best way to really working through and addressing any disappointments that arise. So first of all, let's talk about what most of us do, including myself, is that the mind will probably try to talk you out of being disappointed, especially if you've been on a growth journey for a while. You're like really trying to it's not that bad. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And you're able to do that because there's some truth to it. However, we can also force ourselves into trying to really dial that in, like trying to talk yourself out of being disappointed when in your heart you feel disappointed. And the danger in that is that when we override your emotions, it feels like you're conquering them, you're doing better, but you're not if you haven't resolved what's going on in your heart. You're really just cutting yourself off from your heart. And hello, if this is a heart's desire that you want, it's going to be harder for you to receive your heart's desire if you cut yourself off from your heart, right? So I get it. Our mind wants to try to calm ourselves because when we feel disappointed, it sucks, right? And what happens is that we are going into fear, and the depth of fear that you go into around a disappointment tends to correlate around the depth of growth you are being called to go in and go inward and excavate. And so we can use our mind. It can help self-soothe us a little bit until we're ready to really address what's going in. But the mind is only going to be temporary, because with disappointment, it's such a felt experience. And it's a felt experience because there are emotions there to guide you through it. So when we are feeling disappointed, it's really due to some belief that you have. And a belief is different than a thought. A belief has this emotional attachment to it where it really reinforces within you subconsciously. You might not even be fully aware of the belief until something disappointing happens. But then that belief comes forward, like, oh, bad things always happen for me, or I'm so unlucky in love, or I'm not meant to find my soulmate in this lifetime, or something like that. These are all love examples, but it can be towards your career. It can be towards relationships with family, you name it. So, and the belief it's a way of trying to make sense of why things haven't worked out for you in the past and why they continue to not work out for you. The problem is that the belief is very defeating, and it's certainly not going to support you to have your heart's desires met. But we have this conflict, right? Because you took some action, you were moving forward, you thought that, okay, this is it. This is the time I'm going to find love, or this is the time where my career takes off, or whatever it is. And you're met with the reality that the outcome is not a match with your heart's desires. And so we really have to understand the sacredness of where we are being taken in our disappointment, because what is there for us to examine, to take in, is the fear, the dread, the shame. So fear, this will never work out for you, never happen for you. I mean, take that in for a moment. That's heartbreaking, right? And yet we can go there because we can just lose hope, lose faith. The shame that you are not enough. There's something wrong with you, that the desired outcome that you've had maybe for years, maybe for decades, has not occurred yet for you. Or the dread of how to face your day with this sense of lack that you're now experiencing. Because when we're disappointed, we're in that sense of lack, that the desire is not there, right? So different emotions will come forward to guide you back to a place of empowerment and what needs to shift internally within you that will support you to realign with your essence. And the reason why, underneath all the emotions, and there can be a lot of different emotions that come up about this, it could be guilt for spending so much money on something with your work and it doesn't work out. It can be frustration that you've invested in a dating service or in another certification and it doesn't work out, or whatever it is. Anger, I'll share with you my anger story. But what is underneath all of this is a sense of sadness, because you're disappointed is an indicator for you that there is a belief you are holding on to. Again, maybe you're not aware of it, which is attached to shame. And we want our sadness to be signaled, our sadness to alert us, so that you can relinquish the lie. That's what your sadness is going off. Is like, whoa, we are really dialed into this belief of that's a complete lie, and it's guiding you from an empowered perspective on how to remember your truth. So there's emotional work to be done to support you to work through the shame. Absolutely. And we know that if you don't work through the shame, what happens is you're going to keep pushing and pushing to create the desired outcome, right? And we're almost told to push through our feelings and, keep trying to make it happen. And you can give that a go. I mean, there's, and but I want to reflect the difference here, because what happens when we're in our shame and we keep pushing, you're going to push and you're not going to get the outcome that you want, even if you're taking different action, right? Because we know the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and try to get a different result, right? And so maybe you're trying different things, but what happens if you're trying all these different things and you're still getting the result, which is not what you want, which is disappointing you? Well, what we don't understand with that definition of insanity, that where we say trying the same thing over and over, yet expecting a different result, is a definition of insanity. Even if you are trying to do different things, but you don't change within you, the you who is enacting and taking these actions is the same, because you're not willing to address the same. You're not willing to address the sadness, the disappointment, the shame, fear, triggers. Then you're stepping right into that definition of insanity, because your energy frequency is going to continue to not be a match to the energetic outcome of what is in your heart. And so this is the, significance of why, even if your actions are different, you stay the same. This is where it's leaving us, right? We're going to get the same results because it is an invitation to do the emotional deep dive. Like, this is where we're meant to go. Now, usually for us human types, to take that first dive, we have to hit the end of the road, right? Where you have tried and tried and tried, and it just feels like you're hitting your head against the wall. I hope this is resonating, because this has really been my experience. Um, so that is when emotionally you feel just completely defeated. And I know that defeated feeling. It starts off, for me, it starts off as anger that turns into blame. I mean, I am going into full on temper tantrum. I'm blaming myself. I'm blaming the universe. It's just full on, disempowerment that then turns into this rage temper tantrum. Not that I'm outwardly doing anything, but it's this whole inner turmoil that's just so explosive within me, and how I treat myself, and how I'm talking to myself, how I'm talking to the universe, right? But then after I finish the temper tantrum, I finally surrender. It's like we have to get that pent up energy out to surrender, that it's like, all right, and now I'm backed against a wall and I've got to do the emotional deep dive. Even though I tell myself, how many more deep dives can I do? Well, here's another one for us, right? And that's one of the least empowering things that we can say to ourselves, is like, I've already done the deep dive. Well, who hasn't? We're meant to go, as long as we're alive, we're going to keep taking deep dives so that we can continue to align with more and more of our truth, and get rid of the ego lies, and continue to walk our path from greater expansion and love, right? So here we go again, and we're being called to do that deep dive. And what is required is to go on an inner journey so that you can sort through the beliefs that you're not consciously aware of, which means it's going to take your emotions to help alert you to what's going on, what's really being anchored in your heart as a belief, so that you can start to understand the mismatch to where your heart's desire is and the beliefs that are holding you back. And so otherwise, again, you're trying to take different actions. You're trying to force your desired outcome to happen. We have this belief that with force, we can make anything happen. Maybe, and you'll be exhausted, and it probably won't be, you won't have a lasting result. So the universe, in all its wisdom, wants us not only to have our heart's desires, but to receive our heart's desires in a way that's easeful for us, that we can maintain for ourselves, right? So it's not really a heart's desire if it's exhausting us, right? So where we are being guided is that if you're the same person taking different actions, the results will stay the same, because your internal frequency hasn't changed. So I talk about this a lot, this internal frequency, because when we feel into others, that's what we're feeling, is their internal energy, is their heart energy, is that how their energy is working with inside of them. And so this is what we've been taught not to pay attention to, but it is so important. It's so vital. And otherwise we keep banging our head against the wall, right? I see this happening when people are trying to find love, because I get it. It's like your heart is so yearning for this. But when you try to force love to happen, you're either not going to be in a relationship, or you're not going to be in a healthy relationship, right? Because what's happening is you're either going to try to make someone fit you, who doesn't fit, and then we're trying to control them and do things that so that they're a fit for you, or you're trying to bend and contort and twist yourself to be the version of the person that the other person wants you to be. And in either case, no one's going to be experiencing real true love, because the real true love that we're meant to experience is with our authentic selves, not this contorted version of ourselves. And so when we make one or more um, people in a relationship do that manipulation in order to try to make something work, it's not going to work, right? So there's the emotional piece that is so integral to uh, um, being willing to address. And at the same time, what I'll say is, the more you can integrate your emotional understanding and the emotional work and the emotional deep dive with spiritual understanding, you're going to have more tools to support you, to soothe you, as well as strengthen you. And it's going to, the spiritual is, we can gain so much insight from spiritual wisdom that's been with us throughout the ages. And one of the pieces of wisdom that I like to turn to when I'm feeling disappointed is what I believe is a spiritual truth that Rumi stated, which is everything you seek is seeking you. And so here is a quote from Rumi. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of stress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without pain. From this, I understand that what I want also wants me, is looking for me and attracting me. There is a great secret here for anyone who can grasp it. Yeah. I mean, I hope you can feel the juiciness of this, right? It's so powerful. I want to get into it a little bit because people can also get a little confused about it. So having this insight, what I seek is seeking me, I think is so healing to that part of us that has been taught that we need to strive and push and force things to happen on our timeline. Um, and what I seek is seeking me will guide you to shift out of your head and trying to figure it all out, to trusting more in your heart, trusting the wisdom of your heart. So what's happening when we're in these disempowered beliefs are we're starting to distrust our heart, distrust our heart's desire and what it's telling us is possible for us, with the yearning of it. And so when we go into that striving, pushing, and forcing, we're striving, pushing, and forcing also against our heart and its infinite wisdom. And so it's an opportunity where what I seek is seeking me, and to sit in my own place of patience is the opportunity to get back in touch with your heart's infinite wisdom. And so it's going to guide you, your heart, on how to move forward and when. But your heart wants to move forward when it feels aligned, when it feels like it has removed layers of beliefs that are working against it, so that it can be freed up to shine and be and live how your heart is intended to live, be, and shine. And so the difference will be, rather than coming from fear, when it's time for you to move forward, you will be coming forward from this place of love. So fear, this is the push. It's all about lack. It's fear of not enough. It's fear it'll never happen, versus your heart will be leading you to this, from this place of expansiveness. It's like you'll reach this point of how could I not? Like it's a calling for you to move forward. So to use this integration of both the emotional and the spiritual, it requires what I've broken down into 5 crucial components. So, crucial component number 1, find silence. It's right in there. We cannot hear our hearts over our egos just going about our life most of the time. It requires our stillness so that we can learn to really sit with and understand the whispers of our truth, the whispers of our knowingness. And it's being still is one of the most ultimate ways to really say, I know my own worth, because you allow yourself to be still enough that you're not needing to take action to prove anything, right? It's, you know, you're worth enough that you can be still, you can love yourself, and there is infinite wisdom to help you move towards your heart's desires rather than where your mind has been taking you, because clearly it hasn't worked, right? And then once we create time for the stillness, and I don't mean just once. This is not a one and done thing, especially if this has been an ongoing pattern for you. But there'll come a time where you've had the patience, you've listened to your heart, and you start to feel this calling to move forward. And this is where we also have to meet the universe halfway. You need to take action coming from a place of love. So, yes, the quote says, sit in a place of patience, and you should. And then your heart will call you. And oftentimes the when your heart is calling you, it's much further, much later than what your ego would want the timing to be. And that's when we know we can be in the stillness and the trust. It's a practice of trust in the universe, in yourself, in your knowingness. And so you sit through all the ego pushing, forcing, worried that you're not enough, worried that everything's going to fall apart. And if you can sit through that and find your strength and find your wisdom, it shifts your vibration from fear to power. It's so powerful, the energy of your heart. And that's where you're being guided to connect with more deeply and trust. Then you take action from your heart. It's going to feel like if you don't take action from your heart at this point, your heart will burst. So that is your timing to move forward towards your desires. And the third component is to continue to be in alignment with your truth and deeply honor it while you move forward. Because what happens is when we start to move forward again, we might have the tendency to go back to old patterns of what it was like when we moved forward. For me, when I've needed to take steps back with my work and really do deeper emotional and spiritual integration, I come back to my work and it's like, oh my gosh, I've got all this to do. And I can go back into that scattered place, but that scattered place is fear. So it's being back in alignment with the heart, how the heart is guiding you to move forward and deeply honor it, versus what your ego is telling you it needs to do, you need to do, and you need to do this differently. And what's going to support you is this fourth component of trusting in divine timing, the law of synchronicity, rather than impatience, pushing forward, efforting. I know it sounds weird because you just, took the time to be silent. It may have been a while where you really had to sit in silence, not just days, it could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. I don't know. It really depends on the growth that you're going through. Again, the depth of the inner work that we have to go on is a reflection of what is on the other side of for you to receive. And so when we come back up from doing this deep dive, we're resurrecting, and we're not quite sure how to integrate all this spiritual insight into our human day-to-day work. And so it can easily go back into efforting. So even when you receive the call to move forward, it's a continuous balance between taking action and going back in, taking action, going back in. so that you're making sure that you continue to base your actions from your heart rather than your ego. Not only does this support you to remain in alignment, but it will strengthen you. You will likely still run into roadblocks. This is part of our human experience. Remember, everything that I'm sharing is how our human journey is the opportunity for our expression of our divinity. So when we run into roadblocks, even after doing the deep dive, even after being still impatient, it's an opportunity to integrate your spiritual knowing with your humanity. How am I going to handle this differently than who I was before? And then this sets up your frequency to really strengthen with your alignment of your heart. It versus what otherwise will happen is you go back to old patterns, old stories, old beliefs that are hurtful and disempowering. We don't want to do that to ourselves. And then lastly, the last component is know that you are so immensely loved and your desire will come at the perfect timing for you. It will. Uh, it's so easy that when we come back up, we're being guided. It's like, okay, I've been guided to do this. Now everything should work out perfect. It doesn't. And it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, that you're not worthy of it. It just means that, again, you're being called to strengthen within so that you really are aligned and locking in your new beliefs that align with your spiritual truth and essence. And it's knowing that the universe loves you so much that it doesn't just want to give you your heart's desire. It wants to give you your heart's desire in the most amazing, juicy, beyond your dreams way, because the universe loves you that much, honors you for doing this work to live the way of love, because it's not easy. Love is the greatest secret of life because it's the most challenging and it's the most amazing to receive, right? And so the universe wants you to experience that and more. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with a little ditty I made to help soothe my ego when I was going through a disappointment, because it's really about supporting us to embody this. And so to help soothe my ego when the ego starts ramping up and wanting to go into all that fear, sometimes I like make these little ditties. So it reinforces the truth that I know in my heart. So I'm going to sing to you my ditty. I know it may not be pretty, but it might be catchy, and that's what we want. We want it to be catchy to your heart. It's a little cheesy, and when you hear it, you might be like, I think that's like to some other like Christian song or something. I don't know. I don't know, but the ditties, if you're a ditty person, it just kind of comes forward. All right. So here it is from my heart to yours. Should you ever experience disappointment? What I seek is seeking me. What I seek is seeking me. Go to my heart and set me free, 'cause what I seek is seeking me. A little ditty for you, for your heart to remember that all that you desire is coming to you. We've got to meet it halfway. We're being called to do the emotional and the spiritual work because it is the expansiveness of our hearts. It's going to allow us to align with that expansiveness of the heart's desire that is calling us. That's the whole point. We have these heart's desires. The bigger they get, the more they're asking for us to align with them, which means our hearts need to expand to that. And I know that you are capable of that. And I know you will be shown the way. So continue to listen and trust and know that you are so loved. So That's, I'll leave you with that for now. Until next time, know that you are divine perfection exactly as you are. There's nothing to prove, just to remember.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.